Alright, these are the last of our percents. This is percent increase. So we've done a basic percent problem that shows us how to find the part, the percent, or the base. We've done percent decrease. And then now it's the reverse, which is increase. So just to get an idea of what this means, let's look at the first one. It says your current salary is $42,159. If your boss gives you an 8% increase in salary, then how much more money will you make a year? So since we're getting an 8% increase on this, that makes that our base. That's what we're starting with. So that is our base. Hence the name base. Alright, and then we have an 8% increase. So we put the word increase. Remember, always put that word after it. So that means our part will represent the increase, and that's what we put there as an X. So we put our 8%, put X because those two go together. And then we put the 42,159 here. Cross multiply. Divide by 100. I think you guys got the idea on this by now. Let's plug in the calculator. 8 times 42,159 divided by 100. 3372. Let me bring that back up. 72. That is our increase. How do I know it's the increase? Because that's what the percent is. The percent is an 8% increase, which means our part is the amount of increase. So that's what we get. How much more money will we make per year? $3,372.72. That's what that 8% gives us. So 8% doesn't seem like a lot, but that is a lot of money. So what's your new annual salary? Well, this is what you do with increases. If it's a percent increase, you get to take the base and you're going to add the increase to it. That's what gives us our new value. So plus 42,159. Is that correct? Yes. And that gives us a new salary of 45,531.72. Double check it. And there it is. That's the new salary. And that's what you do with increases. So when you see that word percent increase, you're going to do it just like any basic word problem, any basic percent problem, and find the part or the base that they're asking for. And then you get to take that part or that base and you add them together. You add the part and the base together, because that's the increase. All right, here's another one. Another word for it. This is called markup problems, and markups are also a percent increase. A bicycle costing $110 has a markup rate of 55%. Find the markup. Okay. So again, we are marking up this base, the base of $110. So it has to go there. We have a 55% markup, which means our base, our part has to also be the markup. And that's what we're asking to find the markup. So we put an X there. So we have 55%, an X, because these go together, and then 110. Cross multiply, and we get X, 100X equals 55 times 10, 110, sorry. And then X equals 55, 110 over 100. Plug it in. 60.5. And what does that represent? It's the markup, because that was what our percent represents, the markup. And then again, to find the selling price, you take the base and the markup and you add them together. 110 plus 60.50, 170.5. So this represents the selling price. That's what he's going to sell it for, because it cost him 110. He's marking it up $60.55, so he's going to sell it for 170.5. And that's a percent increase. Alright, let's try, let's see, should I let you try? No, we'll do one more together, and then you can give them a shot. A student making $8.50 gets a raise of 70 cents. What is the percent increase? So again, increases are always based on the cost, or the base, the starting point. So a student making $8.50, that's what we're going to increase. And so we're looking for the percent increase. Now be very careful, always make sure that this is an increase, and it is. It's a 70 cents raise. So these are the same thing, raise and increase both mean the same thing. So we can put X here, 0.70 here, 8.5 there. cross multiply, and x equals, I'm not going to write it this time, 100 times 0.7 divided by 8.5. 8.2, we'll say 8.2. 8.2%, and again, increase. And that's it. Okay, so let's have you try number 4. Let's see if you can get it. If you can get 4, you're rock solid on these, because I made it a little bit tricky. Doesn't mean hard, it just means you have to think. Make sure the wording applies to each one. So hit pause and give it a try. Alright, and you should have gotten 44%. If you didn't, alright, and you should have gotten 44%. If you didn't, don't feel upset. This is meant as a learning exercise, just to make sure that you really pay close attention to the wording. So from the very end, it says find the markup rate, which means we're looking for the markup. Which means your part has to be the markup. And it's not given. We're selling it for $5.20. He's selling it for $5.20, and he paid $3.60. So if you subtract those two, it will give you the amount of the markup. Now, the base has to be the $3.60, not the $5.20, because the $3.60 is what we are marking up. This is the final product, or the final sum here. So after you mark up the $3.60, you will get $5.20. Alright, so $3.60 has to be the base, because the base is the percent, is what the percent is part of. Okay. And again, you can still check it. Take the $3.60, multiply by 44%, and then add it together. You should get $5.20, the increase. Alright, let's try another. It says the median cost of housing rose 25% in one city in a particular year. The median price was then $360,000. What was the median cost of housing at the end of the previous year? Okay, so it says the median price was then $360,000. Okay, so the median cost of housing rose 25% in one city in a particular year. The median price was then. So this $360,000 is our part, because it can't be the base. It's because it was then $360,000. It's not what we're starting from. This has to be our starting value. And this was the median. Okay, now it's not an increase. It is the final product. So since we have 25%, this reference percent has to be 125%, because we are taking 100%, right? And then we are increasing 25%. So that means our final has to be 125%. It's like the discount problems where we were given the sale price. You add 100%, you take off 30, you're left with 70. Well, these are increases. So you're not taking off the 25, you're adding the 25. So the median cost of housing rose. If you see this rose, that means the median will be 125. And then now we can look and see what was the median cost of housing at the end of the previous year. So we put 125 here, 360,000, and then the previous year. That's what this is, previous. All right? So that's the particular, median particular. This is previous. Okay, cross multiply. Plug it in. 360,000 times 100 divided by 125. Oops, times 12. Let's go back. Divide by 125. Let's try this again. 360,000 times 100 divided by 125. 288. 288. Is that dead on? Yes. 288,000. And that is our increase. I mean our median from the previous year. $288,000. Alright, let me have you try one. It's very similar. It's number 6. This is our last problem for percent increase. The NASDAQ closed at 1590 today, an increase of 0.09%. What was the NASDAQ of yesterday's closing? So, we took yesterday's NASDAQ. It's going to increase 9% to get 1590. Hit pause, give it a shot. And there's what you should have gotten. 1590 was the percent for the part. So the percent would have to be 100.09 because it represents an increase of 0.09%. Cross multiply it and you should get 1589. So 1589 and then you do a 0.09% increase, should give you 1590. Alright, thank you. That's percent increase.